give back and help to people that need help. And I said, I'll be there. And I think that's what Clemson's about, really and truly. Once you've been in this family, you are in this family, and it's always great to see people come back. I mean, you look out there and you see the people bonding together that were here years and years ago, or were here not long ago, and it gives them a chance to come together. You know, I've been able to see guys that I don't get to see very often because I still am in the business and I do my own thing, but this gives us a chance to do that, but it's for the right reason. And I think that's one thing that we can say about Clemson. Once you're connected to Clemson, you're in that family. And the one thing that family teaches is to give back. And what you're seeing here is giving back. And I can't say enough about Tim Beret, who stays behind the scenes in this, but he jumped on board, and I say this because Wayne told me about it. He jumped on board to try to help put this thing together. And it's just really a great thing.
How cool is it for you to be able to see some of your former players like Dale Davis and Elton Campbell and the grown men that they've become?
Oh, it's absolutely wonderful. It's, you know, you get to find out what their kids doing, and we're starting to get into grandkids and things of that type. We rehash memories. You know, it's like Derek Forrest, who was on that '90 championship team. He said, you know, when we went to North Carolina to do that, told you by the jersey. He said, they never would call that stuff. He said, we shouldn't have lost to them at their place either. I said, well, we won the whole thing. He said, well, we still shouldn't have lost to them. Stories like that, hearing them give back, feedback, and, you know, Jeff Holstein, who played with Horace Grant and on the '87 team, you know, that was a team that finished runner-up. And, you know, crazy story on that. We were talking about it last night, but we played Wake Forest the last regular season game, and it locked up second place, and fans came out and they put a ladder up and cut the nets down. And I said, what in the world's going on? He said, we've never finished second here. This is a monumental time. I've never been on a team where the fans cut the net down for being runner-up. But that was those stories right there, those are the things you can tell. And so it's just absolutely wonderful. Fun for me.
What's it like to come back and see the facilities that the basketball program has and the state of Clemson basketball right now?
Well, it's great. You know, what amazes me, you know, the facilities have always been there at Clemson, but I can't believe the way that Clemson, all the housing and stuff that's going on, how this place is just growing. I drove out here and got past the university, crossed the bridge, came out, and there's a big shopping center over here, there's housing over here. It's really changing. It's growing in a positive direction. It's beautiful.
In the same way, basketball has evolved a lot over even the last few years. How have you had to adapt as a coach with the transfer portal and everything that's going on in the sport right now?
Well, you don't have a choice. You know, the transfer portal is the biggest thing right now. I mean, there's no doubt about it, but you know, this is not the first time the game has changed. When I was coaching, it was throw it to the big man. It was just a 2-point game. Then they went to the 3-point shot. Then they went to the shot clock. And, you know, this is not the first time that it's changed, but it is what it is. Do I like the rule? I'm not in favor of it, but you have to adapt. You have to live with it. There's got to be a reason behind it. You know, what I think it takes away is perhaps the discipline. You know, somebody can lace their shoes up and say, I'm out of here. Don't even have to tell the coach, walk into compliance, put the name on the board. And they had to been in basketball, they had to been close to 1,000 kids on the board. Now I feel like I'm a general manager. Kevin O'Connor is a good friend of mine, and he's the former general manager of the Utah Jazz, still a consultant. We were having dinner a couple of weeks ago, and I said, I feel like you guys. I feel like now I'm just a general manager. What's on the board? You know, I lost my best player this year, player of the year in our league. He's out, going to Michigan. You know, I trade, you know, free. I feel like I'm in the free agency market. I'm going to lose some guys, get guys. But I'm one of those guys that never cries over spilt milk. It is what it is. I don't make the rules. Got to go with them. I'm not in favor of it. I think there got to be adjustment changes, but you know, it's the way it is. So you live with it. And it's not the first time the game's changed. So I've had to adapt many times. I say that because I've been doing it for about 50 years. I didn't say many, I said many.
Does the evolving nature of basketball keep you on your toes?
Love it. Young people, just young people, the competitiveness of it. I like seeing it. Kind of sad that Krzyzewski's leaving because, Boeheim, myself, but Ray knows this better than I do. Boeheim, myself, Krzyzewski, there's a group of us in that range, and he's going to be pulling out. So
Roy Williams just retired.
Roy Williams, he was a little younger, but he was in his 70s. He was, 70, something like that. But anyway, it does keep you young.
I know you had some big-time battles with Mike Krzyzewski when you were at Clemson. What was your relationship like with him?
Wonderful. As a matter of fact, I will say this. We beat Duke for the regular season championship to wrap it up in 1990. And he and his wife, Mickey, when the game was over, he came in, he congratulated, Mickey came in and he said, just enjoy this moment. And we did. We stay in touch. I've talked to him a couple of times since his retirement. And a group of us coaches, we're going to try to find a time when we can go. I got to check my schedule, but we want to get some of the former guys that have been there and go and honor his run because in the end, it's about what he's done for the game of basketball. He's done a lot for the game of basketball. And an icon is fixing to leave, and he needs to be honored. And I hope that Clemson will, and I know that they will totally honor him when he comes here because, he's given to the game. And just happy that he's happy. I don't think there's anybody done, he's in that with John Wooden and Dean Smith and those guys. I mean, he's the winningest coach ever. So.
You mentioned some of the guys in your age range that are starting to retire. What still drives you at this point?
Competitiveness, as long as my health's good. Young people, making a difference in people's lives. I mean, that's what it's all about. I mean, that's the purpose that I have. I like to come out here and play golf. I like to fish. I like to do things, but I've got to have a purpose, for me personally. And that's what drives me, making a difference in young people's lives.
Coach, I hate to open an old wound, but that shot by Tate George, I had to ask you about, a couple of years later when Christian Laettner almost made the exact same play for Duke, the famous shot against Kentucky, and how that kind of, reminded you of that play and how strange it is that the Clemson-UConn has kind of been lost in the shuffle.
Well, over the years, first of all, I'm kind of glad it got lost in the shuffle because from 91 to for about 15 years, that's how the NCAA tournament started. They would show that shot, and finally some other shots came into play, and finally shuffled that back. But I got tired of looking at it. I mean, every year I had to look at it. I've always said championships, no matter what you get, you got to be very talented, and you got to be lucky too. And it was an unfortunate situation. I think that it was a team that could have gone to the Final Four. That was one of those things that kept us out of it. And I couldn't watch it. It took me 10 years to watch it. I never watched that. I couldn't watch the replay. But 10 years later, and I'm at Auburn, and it was ironic that it was an ESPN Classic, and my daughter